Hello, my name is Gary Price and I'm a Fire Safety Officer here at Imperial College Healthcare NHS Trust. Hospitals have a unique evacuation strategy which requires a different alert sequence. I will now describe the different fire alarms and what action which needs to be taken for both clinical and non-clinical areas within the trust. Now, all these buildings have what's called an L1 fire alarm system, which is an automatic system. So whenever it detects a fire or smoke, it will start and it will send and sound the alarm. Staff are to be aware that these devices are very sensitive and provide early warnings to any potential dangers. It is also very important to know that false fire alarm activations cause major disruption to services and can also cost the organisation vast sums of money, disruption to outpatient clinics, clinical procedures, etc. They also affect the way in which people respond, causing complacency. False fire alarms can cause distress to patients and visitors, especially if they are anxious about their ability to evacuate. If patients see that staff do not react to the fire alarms because they know it's a frequent false alarm, confidence in the organisation and its entirety can be adversely affected. Most of you will be familiar with the first one, which is toasters and microwaves, especially when they are left unattended. To prevent this from causing a false fire alarm, toasters and microwaves should not be left unattended and must also not be used in areas where they have not been approved for use. If you are unsure about the area the food preparation appliances are situated, seek advice from your fire safety officer. Do not leave pantry doors wedged open, as the smoke from these devices will activate the detectors in adjacent spaces. The food prep area should only have a heat detector. Aerosol sprays may also activate the fire alarm. Therefore, if it is at all possible, these should be avoided. However, if you must use an aerosol, it must be used as far away from the smoke detector as possible. Accidental activation by accidentally crashing a trolley or a bin into a coal point, extra care should be taken to avoid this. Now that we have discussed possible causes of false fire alarms, now we need to look at what actions to take when we hear a fire alarm. When a continuous alarm sounds in a non-clinical area, staff should close all the windows, close the doors and evacuate the premises straight away, with the fire warden being the last one to leave the building. Now we're going to discuss what action to take when you hear an intermittent fire alarm. The nurse in charge, you send somebody off to check the nearest alarm panel and determine the location of the fire and the alarm activation. You check to see that the area requires any assistance. On your own site, ensure all staff on ward closes all the doors and the windows. You reassure your patients accordingly. You remain on ward and keep all the phone lines free. Under no circumstances do you call security to inquire about the fire alarm. Now what we're going to discuss is a fire alarm which you hear is continuous. Now for the nurse in charge, check the nearest fire alarm panel and determine the location of the fire alarm. Instruct all staff to check areas within the ward for a source of activation. Also instruct all staff to close all doors and windows. Now you also have to request visitors to leave the ward until the fire alarm has been silenced. And if there is no obvious signs of fire, there's no need to evacuate. There should be no movement of patients or other staff from your ward unless instructed to do so by the clinical site manager. Now, if you find a confirmed fire, this is your action. When you discover a fire, your first duty is to raise the alarm. This can be done by coming to a call point like this, raising the cover and pressing it in. You dial 3333 and give exact location of the fire. Do not attempt to tackle the fire unless you have been trained to do so without putting yourself at risk. When the alarm is continuous, all outpatient departments will evacuate straight away. Staff will escort the patients out through the doors, with the fire wardens now doing a final sweep of the building, closing windows and doors as they leave.